So the guys take some time and talk about each of their relationships, and the girls are on the catamaran and they're talking about their relationships. And the people that have a problem are Katina, who really hates every time Lindsay speaks. So Lindsay was saying about one of her past relationships, and she says, well, the story is when you ask for the truth, it's yours, mine, and the truth. And Katina has never heard this, and she says, I don't care about it saying. She said, but you triggered the problem. And she's very aggressive towards Lindsay, and then she decides to get up and walk away. And what's notable is that Alyssa jumps up, the most active I've seen her on the whole show, and she runs away from the conversation right behind Katina. Then Katina sits directly across from Lindsay and says she's going to handle the situation in the way she normally handles situations. So Katina, very aggressively, hands flying, says, I don't care anything about what happened to you in the past. You're 35, get over it. Then Katina decides she can psychoanalyze Lindsay, and she tells Lindsay what her problems are, and Lindsay says, well, that's very rude, and Katina says, I don't care if it's rude or not. Katina calls Lindsay a person with kindness in her, but she's rude, sneaky, and weird. As soon as she said her piece, she jumps up and leaves the conversation. And what I need to say is that when you speak to somebody, you should not have your hands flying in their face, as Katina was doing to Lindsay. Your hands should always be in your personal space. You should not have fingers in their face. You should not be shoving the palm of your hand into the face of the person you're speaking to. These are all hostile moves and too aggressive for any decent conversation. Katina is a street fighter. As soon as Katina leaves, we see Alyssa jump up and leave right behind Katina. Jasmina tries to smooth things over, telling Lindsay she's not a bad person, but her personality can sometimes be too much and might trigger people into different conversations. As we listen to them, we see Katina and Alyssa going into the water together. Then, of course, Lindsay goes back and tells Mark about the fight with Katina, and now Mark is stressed, and he tells Lindsay just to walk away with arguments that they don't need to get involved with, and they don't want problems as a couple. Then they start playing Never Have I Ever, and the questions are very weird as they come from Ojuan.
Go ahead. Who's gonna answer the question more? It's nothing you guys wonder, like what your spouse has done. This is the time to ask.
I'm asking. Go ahead. It's not asking. What are you thinking?
Have you ever slept with somebody in the same family, like you slept with like your cousin? Has anybody else ever messed with a woman or a man and then messed with like their family after that, like their cousin?
No. So what are you doing? What did you guys say?
I messed with a mom and her daughter.
Together at the same time?
No, but I picked them both up at the train station and they both knew.
That's really weird.
First of all, hold on, that's not disturbing. That's actually a beautiful experience.
I know they were related.
Of course I did. Did you? Of course I did. Absolutely.
That was the old Tim, guys. I just want to clarify that.
Yes. I got the ring on.
Everyone's faces like.
It was a great experience, though.
Like how? What do you mean? How happened? Was it both of them together? Was it both of them separate? Did you know? Did you not know?
So I don't doubt
I'm glad it was great for you. Sounds like a great learning experience. It is never okay with me, but for other people, if they both agree to it, then yeah, that's their life.
Now you guys are married. If your spouse has asked you to have a threesome, would you jump in it? Is anyone okay Is it off the table for everybody?
Yeah. It's off the table.
It's off the table. Off the table.
It's off the table.
It's off the table. Yes. I mean, it takes two, right?
You mean you guess? No. I'm just over it. His wild Isaac stories. Don't bring that stuff over here. It's not happening.
But woman, why would I not? My sexual life, I love.
We all know that, but it's not happening.
Whatever you cool with, I'm cool with. But if you have gone from that, why would I deny it?
Now, Elijahwan's questions were very concerning to me. Elijahwan is 29, so if he picked up someone, a female, with her daughter at a train station, I'm assuming that he picked up somebody who was his age or younger. So let's say the girl was about 25, which means her daughter would have been about age 10. If that's true, then he was having sex with a very young female who cannot consent in any way to having sex, and this would be the R word and the P word, and I would immediately expect that the production staff would say, hold on, let's get this settled, because this would not be okay. And again, the Married at First Sight staff has failed to screen these people, and they have failed to protect this girl, Katina, because I don't think she's smart enough to know that what he's saying is he has committed RNP, and he thinks it was wonderful, great, and appears to do it again. And might that be the reason he's on this show, to get married in the first place? Because he doesn't seem to be too interested in Katina, but he does have some sort of goal in getting married, and maybe it's to get access to children. From the more normal questions during the questioning session, we find out that both Jasmina and Katina have been arrested, that both Joy and Steve have cheated in the past on a person they were in a relationship with, and that Katina has had a threesome in the past. Okay, now I'm going to move on to day 4 of the marriage, and we see Michael and Jasmina. They're having an argument. Michael accuses Jasmina of cutting him off as he was talking while they were on the catamaran. Jasmina says she didn't cut him off, and Michael says you have to apologize fully. Jasmina says she won't. They flash back to the talk, and Michael had completed his sentence when Jasmina started speaking, so she did not cut him off. But Michael is infuriated because he felt that she did cut him off, and she tries to partially apologize, but he says he wants a full apology. And you can see that he's had a lot of problems with his anger and these sort of feelings of not being good enough or inferiority, and this is a major red light. So eventually he says he will accept her apology, but if she ever does it again, he's going to stop her right away, and they're going to argue about it right then and there. I suggest they just give some sort of signal, like maybe he could tap her hand or something like that if he feels he's being cut off, and she could acknowledge that maybe he has something else to say in addition to what he's already said. Katina and Ojwang are talking about their relationship, and Katina says she wasn't bothered when Ojwang said he would have a threesome if she would ask him to, and she doesn't even discuss that he confessed to having sex with a woman and her child. My assessment of their relationship is Ojwang is in this for not the marriage, but he is trying to control Katina. She, he figures, will fall in love with him, they will stay married, and then he will be able to control her into setting up situations where he continue his deviant sexual behavior. And Katina doesn't seem to mind. Next we see the resort recreational director, that is Chris. He has set up scuba diving for he and Alyssa, Everything's all set up. They meet in the restaurant. She says she's not going to go scuba diving, and so she walks him down to the water. She looks at his body, says she does not like his body, and she doesn't want to be near him. He goes scuba diving, has a great time. She goes to the restaurant and is sitting there eating like she hasn't seen food for quite a while. Then she starts crying, talking to production, saying she doesn't want to be near Chris, and she does not want to do any more activities with him. She says she's not happy. She's got her handkerchief out, and she tells the production people to tell Chris not to go over and talk with her. Chris is again bewildered. He says he likes scuba diving, but he didn't come to Puerto Rico to be all by himself with these activities. So Jasmina is feeling Michael is showing no respect towards her and is too hostile and aggressive. Next we see Lindsay and Mark. Mark has to have this tough conversation with Lindsay, and he asks her to pull back a little bit. She's too much in everybody's face. She's causing conflict with the ladies. It's putting him in a bad spot. He's feeling anxious and he feels like he can't breathe, and so he asks her to pull back just a bit. Lindsay says when she pulls back, she pulls all the way back, and so it's either take her like she is or she's going to pull way, way back. That makes Mark nervous because he does like Lindsay, and she says, well, if you want to be better at the marriage, then you have to change too. You have to stop clogging the toilets and farting and
Let's stop that, okay? You want a little romance and you want it to be like slow, like I don't need to see that. You know what I mean? Like you're giving me a full frontal you. Chew with your mouth open, fart with the door open, like
stop chewing with your mouth open and stop leaving the bathroom door open when he's in there. So she says he has to be a better him if he's going to make any demands on her. So Lindsay's angry. She gets up, says she's ready for bed, and she marches off. And that's the end of this episode. This has a lot to think about. So we are left with Jasmine and Michael fighting, no respect. Katina and Ojuan, I feel he's setting her up and she's going to be used as a pawn. Lindsay and Mark just had a big fight about her personality and her cutting back. Chris and Allison are again not getting along. She got up on the wrong side of the bed on day 4 and she doesn't want to talk with him at all. Joy and Steve are having a great time. I feel he is definitely into her sexually, but feels this romance is way, way too fast. And as we leave Joy and Steve, I believe they're having sex